Hello, my name is Matthew Hansford. This is my oral presentation for Comp 2, Professor Turner, here in 2019. So the topic of my paper is e-cigarettes, vaping. Is it a safe alternative to smoking? And why I chose this topic was I believe in the rights of every human being, every United States citizens, but I also believe in courtesy to others. And this one was I was not familiar with smoking. I don't smoke, but I've been affected by smoking through family members, and this was a good topic. This was good research for me, and so I've learned a whole lot. So here goes. And Professor Turner, I do not like being on TV. I don't like my picture taken or nothing, but I'm gonna do this because I'm gonna finish this degree. So tobacco is linked to about 480,000 deaths every year in the United States. And even though we have that many deaths, even though we know that much about tobacco and the harms of tobacco, of smoking cigarettes, there are still about 40 million Americans that continue to smoke, adults that continue to smoke each and every year. That's about 17% of the population. So vaping, or e-cigarettes, however you want to say it, is one of the most revolutionary products that has come to the market in recent years. And they've been out about a little over 10 years from what I found out. And so the modern tobacco cigarette that we know of today dates back to 1880. Now before that, most tobacco was chewing tobacco and snuff. But in 1880, a fellow named Bonsack invented the cigarette rolling machine. And he revolutionized the selling of cigarettes. Before then, you kind of rolled your own, and you did that, but it wasn't very common. It just wasn't something that somebody did every day. From 1880 to 1950, cigarette smoking doubled. But in the 50s is when we began to learn about lung cancer. We began to learn about the harms and effects of long-term smoking. So in the 1960s, consumers demanded a safer cigarette. That's hence where we got filtered cigarettes that we know of today. So just to give you a little bit of history on that. So the filtered cigarette in 1968, 58% of the market was a filtered cigarette. By 2011, 99.8% of cigarettes sold in the United States were a filtered cigarette. So in 1960, this was known as the Great Tar Derby. So there was a lot of cigarette companies that wanted to continue to get the sales from the cigarettes. And the only way to do that was to make a filtered cigarette. And I got that information from the Federal Trade Commission. And they put out a report in 2015. So vaping has no combustion of tobacco. So that's where the difference is. So it has the nicotine in it, but it doesn't have the combustion of the tobacco. And the combustion of the tobacco is what makes the tar. So in other words, like Russell wrote in the British Medical Journal in 1976, people smoke for the nicotine, but they die from the tar. Tar is a byproduct of the combustion of the tobacco. So the current cigarettes today that are sold on the market, on an average, have over 7,000 chemicals in them. 69 of those chemicals are known cancer-causing chemicals. Vaping has no combustion, so that's where it doesn't have the tar in it. It has the nicotine, but no tar. So a little bit about the public view. So public view and laws, we are progressing as we go. And when I say we, I mean the government. So we are progressing in how we govern where people can vape and where e-cigarettes can be. So a lot of the signs, I was at the fair last week and I noticed it said no smoking and or vaping or e-cigarettes. So a lot of folks are categorizing that vaping in with traditional tobacco smoking. And that was my next point, is vaping and e-cigarettes are viewed in a lot of ways the same as smoking traditional cigarettes. And I think some of that is lack of knowledge, some of that is perception, and then some of that is true. Some of it is true because it does have some harmful chemicals in it. So teens, A lot of teens try cigarettes in the United States, but I'll give you a little statistics of what I found out. In 1991, there was a survey put out by the Center for Disease Control. Actually, the survey was put out in 2018, but it said in 1991, 70% of adolescent teens, this is grades 9 through 12, had tried cigarettes. In 2017, that was down to 28%. There's a lot of programs out there that defer teens from trying cigarettes. However, 42% of that same group had tried vaping at some point between grades 9 through 12. I'll give you a couple of my works cited. So I use the CDC, but one of the articles that I read that I wanted to use for references today, and I got a lot of the statistics about the chemicals and how many deaths. Janice Selectman, she wrote an article in Pediatric Nursing in 2019. She is found from pages 12 to page 15. And another article that I wanted to take some information from, it was written by Donald Kinkel. He is a professor of the Department of Policy and Analysis and Management in the College of Human Ecology at Cornell University. And another spot that I took some information from was the Institute for Global Tobacco Control 2015. And these are countries that regulate laws regulating e-cigarettes, and specifically Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health from 2015. And my name is Matthew Hansford. This is a report for Comp 2 oral presentation, and thank you, Professor.